Spokesperson for data protection and NSA spying at the Pirate Party. And thanks so much for coming on RT today. Good to see you. The mission objective of the NSA is to fight terrorism. The latest revelations now, apparently, Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor, is a terrorist.
Well, thank you very much first for being here. I think when we look at what came out in Brazil and what came out in Mexico lately, it is totally clear that NSA surveillance is not only about terrorism. And if you look at at the leaks of Edward Snowden in Brazil, then we saw a list of high politicians from Brazil that was presidentially approved that the NSA should wiretap them. So I think the same thing happened with Merkel, and Obama, of course, must have known all of this.
So but realistically speaking, though, the claim that Germany was totally unaware of the US, the NSA spying on it, do you think that's entirely accurate? Do you think the German officials did know?
Well, I think if you look at what happened in Germany, Angela Merkel and the conservative government was protecting the Secret Service cooperation between the German services and the NSA over a long time. So I think Edward Snowden is right when he says that the German Secret Service and the German government is in bed with US authorities and NSA.
Now, if indeed the allegations are proven to be true, it becomes out that it is a fact, that if indeed the NSA has been tapping Angela Merkel's phone, what kind of consequences do you think could come from that, or basically nothing?
Well, as I said already 2 months earlier, if there's really a proof, and then there should be, of course, political consequences, and that would mean that in the US, General Keith Alexander has to step back from his position, or even Barack Obama would have to think about stepping back from his position, because it is clear if such surveillance measures are presidentially approved, then of course Obama is here responsible.
But do you think, though, with the NSA and its mission objective, as I've mentioned before, is to prevent terrorism through any means as they deem possible, do you think then that's justified? Is the NSA, by spying on people like Angela Merkel and other world leaders and the rest of us, is the NSA making the world a safer place?
Well, of course, surveillance, of course, can protect us from terrorism. But if you look at the whole NSA scandal, there have been so many leaks and so many documents. I have not seen until today a single document that can prove that a terrorist attack came out because of the NSA spying programs. So there's no success rate right now. All that we see from the documents and from the leaks that came out is an abuse of these surveillance measures.
Mr. Stomber, you talk about an abuse of this surveillance measure, but when it comes to the issue of the laws that are right now being pushed forward by the European Parliament, could these laws affect the goal of fighting terrorism, do you think?
Well, I think what we've seen now in the European Parliament is that we have suspended the SWIFT agreement, or they have passed a resolution to suspend it. So it needs to be approved by the nations in the European Council. This is one first step, but then the next big step would be to think about the Safe Harbor Agreement and to come up with a general data protection reform in Europe. This is a process where the discussion is already running right now. And I think this is a very good thing to do, because you always have to take into consideration that surveillance transcends the public-private divide. So although these surveillance programs are done by the NSA, are done by the Secret Service, that is maybe not really bound to the laws in Europe, of course, all data that is collected in any way can later be abused. So, and if you look at PRISM, then many surveillance measures by the NSA are fed by by commercial
Mr. Stomber, you mentioned the issue of PRISM. PRISM was actually a relative of the Genie program that was used to spy on all the diplomats inside the United Nations. Jens Stomber, a spokesperson for data protection and NSA spying at the Pirate Party. A pleasure to have you on RT today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So.